Hello once again, I'm LB, and thank you for returning for the second half of this video covering the rise and fall of the original Saimoe tournament held on 2chan from 2002 to 2014. In the first video, we talked about the origins of the tournament, how it worked, and covered the first few peak years. In this video, we'll be exploring the second half of the tournament and its very rapid decline until it disappeared entirely. In 2009, the winner was Taiga Aisaka from Toradora, beating Yui Hirasawa from K-On! 1,332 to 1,278. This is the first year that Saki was eligible for the tournament, and they would have dominated. They sent 4 girls to the quarterfinals, which led to 2 of them reaching the semifinals in their first year, had it not been for some key victories and losses along the way, such as Nagi from Hayate the Combat Butler knocking out Saki from Saki in the third round. This was also the first year that the tournament saw the anti-Saki faction start to move. This faction would grow much larger over the next couple of years, as they managed to knock out Kana from Saki out of the group finals with the weaker Isumi from Hayate the Combat Butler. No one expected Isumi to have her best ever tournament appearance and make it all the way to the quarterfinals. Nodoka Haramura establishes herself as a force to be reckoned with as she slides into the semifinals for the first time, though the constant barrage of Rii Kugamiya characters proves to be too much for her. She faces 3 of them in a row between the group finals and the semifinals. Over the next couple of years, Haramura would become a regular fixture in the late brackets and go on to set a couple of all-time records. Another first is Sanae from Clannad winning her first round match, making her the first grandmother to ever win a tournament match. Maria from Hayate the Combat Butler wins her first match in 3 years, edging out Toka from Sake by 137 votes. Kagami Hiragi from Lucky Star loses in the first round to Mikuru from Haruhi Suzumiya by 178 votes, marking the first time a former champion loses in the first round since Rika did in 2004. Index starts her quest to become the character who is eliminated quickly every year by losing her first round match to future champion Azusa Nanako from K-On! By 27 votes. This would start a trend for the popular character, which would see her eliminated in the first round in 4 out of 5 tournament appearances. In 2010, the winner is Azusa from K-On! Defeated Nagi from Hayate the Combat Butler 1,516 to 1,339. It's interesting to note that this is the last year of the tournament to feature characters from 2 different series in the championship match. Speaking of the championship match, controversy erupted this year as dodgy or strategic voting tactics allowed Nagi to become the only character in tournament history to make it to the championship round twice. Getting into the Saki element, Hisa spends the entire day in the first round trailing from behind when suddenly a surge of voters pushes her to victory by 1 vote over Ueharu from a certain scientific railgun. Saki starts to show signs of future dominance by sending 3 girls to the second round of Group C. Haramura eventually comes out on top of the 3-way split vote and eventually makes it to the semifinals. Speaking of, for the second year in a row, Saki manages to send 2 girls to the semifinals where they are both knocked out. In non-Saki news, despite sending 24 girls to the tournament over the years, 11 in 2010 alone, a certain magical index never manages to win it all. The closest they came was in 2010 and 2011, when they managed to send characters into the quarterfinals and round 3 respectively. In 2011, the winner was Mami from Madoka Magica, defeating her series mate Kyoko from Madoka 512 to 435. You'll notice those numbers are much lower than previous years. Controversy began right away this year, as during the preliminaries, fans demanded that the narrator from Okami-san and her 7 friends be included in the tournament, despite never appearing on screen during the series. The fans were denied. Yuno from Hidamari Sketch makes history this year. She becomes one of only 2 characters to make it to the second round 5 years in a row, the other character being Nanoha. Sadly, this streak ended with this appearance as she failed to make it past the first round from this point forward. This is the first year that Madoka Magica was eligible to compete, and from this point forward, the girls from Madoka would prove to be a thorn in the side of any other series who wanted to make a strong showing. This also marks the only time that Index, from a certain magical index, managed to make it past the first round before she is defeated in the group finals by Kyoka. In 2012, the championship was decided between Toki and Kuro from Saki. Toki came out on top, 311 to 291. With this being their third year in the tournament, participants are starting to grow weary of the dominating presence of the Saki girls. Out of the 8 quarterfinal slots available, 6 of them end up being taken by Saki characters, which leads to the entire final 2 rounds to be dominated by one series for the first time ever in tournament history. In non-Saki news, another dark horse who didn't fit the traditional Moe mold, Mei from Another, is able to push her way into the third round. Despite getting eliminated in the second round, don't worry, I'll explain that in a moment, Madoka from Madoka Magica manages to beat her series mate 277 to 191. You'll notice that once again, those numbers are dropping drastically. Fans are starting to grow frustrated with the organizers at this point because at this point they're reporting on results late, editing results, essentially vote totals to be posted in the morning and then changed later in the day after removing duplicate votes from the same users, etc. More than once, this led to originally reported results being inaccurate. This year, though, the tournament organizers decided to change things up by introducing a wildly unpopular second chance losers bracket, which allows characters who were eliminated early to get a second chance, which is how Madoka ends up winning the tournament despite being eliminated in round 2 by Ayase from Oreimo, who ironically got eliminated in the final 16 round. So what was this losers bracket? Well, let me try to explain that as clearly as I can, though I will probably fail. This year, the tournament ran totally normally all the way up to the group finals, which resulted in the usual 8 winners. However, thanks to the losers bracket, 32 additional characters got a second chance. Basically, any character who managed to get second place behind the group winner in the first 4 rounds were randomly shuffled into a rapid-fire 2-week mini-tournament. How it worked was essentially second placers from rounds 1 and 2 were shuffled up and faced off against each other. The winner of these matches would face off against the second placer from round 3, and then the winner of that match would face off against the second placer from round 4, ultimately resulting in 8 characters who would be reinserted into the tournament, creating a group of 16 which would finish off the tournament. Do you get it? No? Too bad, because I can't explain it any clearer than that. Frustration with the tournament is also getting higher, as this year almost sees a repeat of the previous year, as 3 of the 4 semi-final spots are taken up by characters from one series, this time Madoka Magica. 2014 was the final year of the tournament, and all good things must come to an end. In this case, they ended in a tie, however, as Nodoka and Saki battled to a 187 vote tie. Due to waning interest and the organizers having a hard time getting their act together, there was a month-long gap towards the end of this year's tournament, and at one point it was uncertain on if the tournament was even going to be finished at all. This does end up being the final year of the tournament, but it does go out with a bang, as the final year ends up being the biggest with 24 groups in the first round. This equals somewhere around 400 characters. The second chance losers bracket also returned from last year. No one was impressed. The most interesting note about this year, however, was this year's joke entry, which is that somehow the Survey Corps horses from Attack on Titan not only got nominated, but won enough preliminary votes to end up in Group U, where they are easily taken care of by one of the many Saki girls in the tournament. And that about wraps things up. For those of you who love statistics, here are some of the all-time records achieved throughout the run of the tournament. My name is LB, and I'd like to thank you for sticking with me throughout this trip down memory lane. As a reminder, if you'd like to read more of my works, you can find my articles on JList, Anime Herald, and Patreon. Please remember to like, share, and subscribe, and I will talk to you all again very soon. Thanks very much. Bye.